I want to remind people to get their questions ready. We will have Q&A after this out there in Twitter world. Also, who can you tell? Please send your questions there. At this time, I would like to welcome Rev Canon Gideon Byamugisha. How did I do? Good? Really practice that. Reverend Byamugisha is an Anglican Reverend Canon priest in Uganda. In 1992, he became the first religious leader in Africa to publicly announce that he was HIV positive. A teacher by profession, Byamugisha worked with his friends and his faith community leaders to start the Friends of Canon Gideon Foundation, a self-help small organization that helped him to initiate the African network of religious leaders living with and personally affected with HIV and AIDS. The Hope Institute for Transformational Leadership and Development, educating and training orphans and other vulnerable youth to help them break the HIV risk and poverty vulnerability cycle, and the Global Working Group on Faith. Currently, the Reverend is a Brown Foundation Fellow and visiting professor at the University of the South, located in Tennessee. Please welcome.
Knowing how HIV is rapidly sliding off from the international attention, we want to thank Howard University for keeping HIV/AIDS issues on the radar. Join me with a very big clap for Howard University. Thank you. And thank you, Patricia and Becca and Alan, for continually tracking me. I was supposed to attend 2011. I failed. I couldn't be available for 2012, but you didn't give me up. So thank you very much. If you are looking for best practices of how we can defeat stigma sooner, faster, and better, come and visit us. Visit the Friends of Canon Gideon Foundation, an organization that I didn't found. No. When I said I'm HIV positive, friends and family members and religious leaders came together and formed a fellowship. It was not a foundation by then. It was just a fellowship. What was the objective? Pray for me, ask me what my emotional and psychological and spiritual needs are, and give practical support wherever possible. When I nearly died in 1998, when I lost 20 kilograms of weight and the doctors said I have only 6 months to live, the friends came together and wow, treatment was found. Now look. Without those friends, you would have never met someone called Gideon. I'm supposed to be 14 years in the grave. Now, those people did not stop there. They said, Gideon, everywhere you are going, they are introducing you as the first religious leader living with HIV. Where is the second? Where is the third? And indeed, after 10 years of working on HIV, we didn't know. We couldn't meet someone who was a religious leader and was saying, I am part of the movement. So the friends again came together and helped me to start a network. We had our first retreat in Zimbabwe in January 2002. 8 people turned up. Never despise humble beginnings. 8 people turned up. We were 64 in the meeting, but only 8 said we are HIV positive. But we want to keep with you and fight the stigma and shame and the denial and the discrimination. Tell you what, now we are 10,000 members in 48 countries, religious leaders. I'm not proud that the numbers are big. because, of course, being positive is not something to be proud about. But I'm proud that there are these men and women of God who are standing in their faith communities and are ready to be champions for change in their communities. In 2009, what happened in 2009? These religious leaders met in Uganda and said, this fight is too big. We cannot fight it alone. The stigma is still too much. We need religious leaders. We need people of faith who are not necessarily positive. Maybe who are even not affected personally, but who feel that stigma is something to be defeated. And we formed what we call the Global Race to Save Lives from HIV conference. And we meet every 36 months to evaluate where are we in fighting stigma and shame and denial and discrimination and inaction and misaction around HIV. So we formed a global working group to steer those conferences forward. I invite you to join us in Rwanda the last week of March 2015. Put it in your diary and make sure that you are part of the Yes movement saying we will win against AIDS. What have we found out in addressing these stigmas? The irrational fear of contagion. I don't want to repeat that. Mama Rian has already told you what means. You go into church or in a mosque, people move away. You want to have Holy Communion, people, you see behind you there is no line, but another line, the people are so many. So fear of contagion, people are scared about getting HIV. In Uganda, they used to give us food tied on a stick so that you can have the food. They would tie a rope in your legs and bring it in the sitting room so that they continue pulling. If the rope shakes, you are still alive. If the rope doesn't shake, you are dead. So they wear the masks and the gloves and they come and take you. That was a fear. But we as the faith community, we are really well placed to fight fear. Giving accurate information. We know how HIV transmitted. We know how it is not transmitted. So we can give people accurate information. Number two, irrational but sometimes justified fear of quick death. This is very, very critical for people who are taking a behavioral approach to HIV. Please examine that and see how sometimes people we call irrational can be rational in thinking. You are dying tomorrow, so why should we give you our precious rice? Why should we keep you in school? This is a waste of money. We don't have much money. Why should we promote you on a job when you can't live long enough? I was supposed to do my PhD in 1992. I would probably now have been a professor of theology or something like that. And the funders, when they heard I'm positive, they said, oh, wait a minute. Will this boy finish the degree? So they cancelled the grant. 20 years later, I am still here, you know. So we have to look at those gaining fears. If there is no treatment, people will fear you are going to die, and they will begin acting rationally. Should we spend money on keeping you alive when we need money to keep your orphans? Should we sell this piece of land to give you, to treat you when you are not, you know? So you have to address those fears. We have to address and say, no, there is treatment. It is effective. It may not eradicate the virus, but it can keep AIDS at bay for a long, long time. And the good news we received last year when we were here in Washington, you told us that now treatment is not just treatment. That treatment is also prevention. That if you can successfully keep us alive and viral load free, you are also preventing new infections in the community. So people need to get that information. But the biggest stigma that is not going away, friends, is that number 3, inaccurate association of HIV with things considered promiscuous, deviant, more immoral, and all of that. So when Gideon says, I'm positive, they say, okay, stop there, now we know you. I was in one of the countries where a bishop invited me to preach. I climbed the pulpit. At the end of it all, I preached, I think I preached a good sermon. But at the end of it all, when people were shaking my hands, one of the young men, when I gave him the hand, he said, I can't shake a sinner like you. Can't shake hands. Who gave you permission to climb in our pulpit and even touch our Bible? You sinner. You know, very angry man. Very angry man. Thank God that I really said, God, give me courage to forgive this man and to love him. You know, because that's the understanding of people. And this understanding is not being helped. Again, I'm giving an assignment for behavioral